Live, local, social. It's time for the Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's news magazine show. On cable, on the web, and all over social media. Featuring stories from close to home, starring people like you. Live from Greater West Bloomfield, it's the Splash Live.
Welcome, friends and neighbors, to the Splash Live on Civic Center TV. I'm Tyler Kieft. Thank you for joining us. Close to home, following recent events, the community's love for its first responders has never been stronger. At the West Bloomfield Fire Department, they've opened their doors and even their vehicles to give interested future fire safety personnel and others an inside look at the heroic work that they do every single day. Civic Center TV's Jonathan Montgomery has the story.
If you ever thought about being a firefighter or a first responder, look no further than the West Bloomfield Fire Department. Today, I had an opportunity to take a look into their ride-along program.
We've had a ride-along program at the West Bloomfield Fire Department for my whole career. I've been here nearly 22 years now, and initially it was kind of exclusive just to kind of expose some of our hospital partners to what treatment looks like in the field. We realized pretty quickly this is also a pretty good recruiting opportunity, so we've since opened it up to EMT and paramedic students, as well as high school students who've expressed some interest in a career in first response.
How important do you feel like it is to have programs like these in this community?
It's absolutely a part of the job. This is a West Bloomfield service. We want people to feel welcome here, whether they are interested in a career here or if they really just want to see what a day in the life of a West Bloomfield firefighter is. These are your tax dollars. We want you to see how we're putting your tax dollars to good use. So anyone who's interested, we welcome you to come in and stop by, if not for a ride-along, just to see what your tax dollars are buying. This is a wonderful service, and we're proud to show it off.
West Bloomfield is full of amazing people who do amazing things to keep our community safe and keep us protected. Being a first responder isn't easy, and we thank the West Bloomfield Fire Department for the hard work that they do serving this community every day. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jonathan Montgomery.
Certainly a wider appreciation for our local firefighters and other first responders in the wake of recent events, and great to see that they have that open for people to see what they do every single day, because the reality is there aren't many fires that are being fought on a day-to-day basis in Greater West Bloomfield. The fire department covering not only West Bloomfield Township, but also the Tri-Cities of Keego Harbor, Orchard Lake Village, and Sylvan Lake as well, providing a number of different safety services, from their marshal services that are inspecting businesses before they open to all their medical runs, and providing support to nearby communities through the Oakway Mutual Aid Agreement as well. For more information from the West Bloomfield Fire Department, including helpful safety tips all throughout the year, visit them on their Facebook page at WB Fire Department. In Orchard Lake, a recent gathering on the ice amongst Red Wings legends and locals in support of a good cause. Civic Center TV reporter Jake Schaff has more.
Every single year at Orchard Lake St. Mary's, an incredible charity hockey game takes place to raise money for those living with cerebral palsy. The Michigan UCP Pucksters take on alumni of the Detroit Red Wings, all for an incredible cause. It's a night of fun, excitement, and incredible hockey action. And it really touches the heart on those living with disabilities, and to show them that the community is looking out for them.
You know, I think it's outstanding, because it really shows that our community of individuals with disabilities across our state is larger than people realize. 1 in 4 Americans have some sort of disability in our country, so that's pretty substantial. And over 250,000 cases of CP happen yearly in the U.S. As far as diagnoses. So again, it is something that is prevalent in our community, but it's also something where individuals with all abilities can enjoy a great sport and just have a great day.
Do you have any personal connection with cerebral palsy?
I sure do. My cousin has cerebral palsy, and we grew up down the street from each other. So grew up in in a really supportive community, and it's why I do the work I do now.
So Craig, you came all the way from Peck, Michigan, over an hour away to be here tonight. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep. My son has cerebral palsy and some other issues, and so we want to make sure that we support it and get him out and actually get to see some hockey and have a good time. It's good. It's a good opportunity just to get him out with everyone else, people that have light conditions or not light conditions, and just let him be him and be out and enjoy the hockey game. So it's a good time.
Everything that they do, what does it mean to you to see all of this devotion and all of this attention being brought on cerebral palsy?
It's great because there's so many causes that go out for different issues that children have, and to have one that actually is diagnosed for, like my son, is a great opportunity for other kids to have that ability to see this, be able to benefit from it, and have a good time.
Well, that's what makes it worthwhile. I mean, you see them smiling just to have us, all we're doing is come out playing hockey, and we're hopefully raising a lot of money and putting smiles on their faces.
It's really great to be recognized and for folks to see that, like, the community is so broad and diverse. Coming here, being supportive, being able to engage with everyone, and just seeing some super cool players who also care enough about the cause to be part of the work here.
What do you hope are the biggest things people take away from being here on events like this?
Well, it's just that you can always give back, especially kids to see that at any point, no matter if you're younger or you're getting older, you can always give back.
The biggest obstacle to success and to fulfillment is, getting over fear. So it can be very fearful when you don't know what the resources are, but that is a great advantage of attending an event like this one, like the annual sled hockey game here at Orchard Lake St. Mary's Ice Arena, because it has a plethora of resources that everyone can be around.
Making smiles and raising incredible amounts of money, all for an amazing cause. I look forward to this event every single year, as does everybody in the Greater West Bloomfield community, the Red Wings players, the Pucksters, everyone. And it's even more amazing to see those living with cerebral palsy watching their real-life heroes playing for them. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jake Schaff.
A lot of big victories in recent years on that St. Mary's Hockey Arena ice, and another one over the weekend close to home. You can get more involved with the Michigan United Cerebral Palsy organization and keep up to date on next year's big game on their website, mi-ucp.org/hockey, mi-ucp.org/hockey. Another team with the pedigree of champions is the team at West Bloomfield Township, where from public safety to parks, there are now opportunities for you to get involved while embarking on a fulfilling career. We sent Jonathan Montgomery to the West Bloomfield Civic Center to learn more.
Whether it's stopping crime, putting out fires, or making the city look beautiful, the West Bloomfield Township Job Fair has it all. Today, I had an inside look with public servants in this community.
I'm aspiring to be a police officer. I've been with the police department for about 5 to 6 months now, and so far I'm loving it.
Any words of encouragement for anybody who, wants to try to do this, but they don't feel like, they have the qualifications? What words of encouragement would you give them?
The best advice I could give would be to become a cadet. It's a foot in the door. You get to do very minimal police work, I would say, for the sake of the argument, and you can determine whether it's not for you or if it is for you.
Favorite part about recreation is our job is recreation, which if you enjoy recreation, then it's, a pretty good field to be in. And then, if you enjoy being outside, parks is great for you. Also recreation, you're outside as well. Like I said, yeah, everything's just a different day and never gets old.
This is a wonderful opportunity. Reaching out to citizens that are interested in the fire service or police service or even just working for the township. This is pretty cool. West Bloomfield, beautiful community. I grew up on the other side of the state. I came over here for this job in West Bloomfield. I never explored over here. I'm super happy that I landed where I did.
We thank each one of these public servants in these communities for making Greater West Bloomfield what it is today. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jonathan Montgomery.
Lots of jobs still open for those looking in West Bloomfield Township. If you want to work for the township government itself, the police department, the fire department, West Bloomfield Parks, there are part-time jobs, full-time jobs, seasonal jobs, especially with West Bloomfield Parks as they look toward their spring and definitely their summer calendar. More information and open applications are available as we speak. wbtownship.org/jobs. During the most harrowing time in Greater West Bloomfield history, one of the first set of heroes to emerge were the friendly folks at Shenandoah Country Club, lending a helping hand as they sprung into action in the immediate aftermath of the attack last week at Temple Israel to provide hospitality, support, and shelter at the congregation's darkest hour. And that is just exactly the character of the Chaldean community, says Sharkey Haddad from the Chaldean American Chamber of Commerce. On Friday, less than 24 hours after the attack at Temple Israel, I spoke to Mr. Haddad about the generosity of his community, connecting West Bloomfield across cultures, and his message to the Greater West Bloomfield community as we all begin to recover from last week's events. Sharkey, thank you for joining us on this sad time in our community, but what was a happy moment amongst all of the sadness of Thursday was the love that was provided to the Jewish community, to the Temple Israel community by those at Shenandoah. What does that say about the nature of the Chaldean community in West Bloomfield?
Well, the Chaldean community of West Bloomfield and the state of Michigan trace their families to what it's now called Iraq. In the 50s, 40s, many Chaldean families, Jewish families, resided in the same neighborhood in Baghdad, Iraq, and looked after one another. They looked after one another because we were both religious minorities, that we were both persecuted in Iraq. And because of that, we developed a closer relationship with Jewish families in Baghdad, Iraq. We carried that with us when we immigrated to the state of Michigan. And that's why all Chaldeans live in the same communities where the Jewish families reside and where the Jewish temples are also built. And we cannot express enough our deep sorrow over the tragic event that took place yesterday at Temple Israel, whom, by the way, are also not strangers to the 1,500 Chaldean families who are members at Shenandoah Country Club. We have developed a partnership, cooperation with Temple Israel, between Temple Israel and Shenandoah Country Club for over 20 years now. And we were so glad that we were able to provide assistance to the family, parents, and staff of Temple Israel by opening the doors of Shenandoah Country Club to them so they could gather and wait for to be reunited with their loved ones.
Sharkey Haddad is with us from the Chaldean American Chamber of Commerce. One of their places of gathering, Shenandoah Country Club in West Bloomfield, is right across the street from Temple Israel. Sharkey, there's a lot to be said about the interfaith partnership and cooperation in West Bloomfield. Our community here, our religious communities here in Greater West Bloomfield put so much effort into providing that interconnection, into making those bonds between these faith communities, finding those areas of common ground where so many other places in the world are finding ways to be divided. What does that uniquely say about the character of the West Bloomfield community?
Well, you know, yesterday at 12 noon was the monthly luncheon for the Greater West Bloomfield Faith and Community Alliance, formerly called the West Bloomfield Clergy Association. And I was supposed to be there at 12 noon participating in the lunch for all the clergy leaders and community leaders sponsored by Shenandoah Country Club. And it's just amazing how this organization was having lunch at Shenandoah Country Club, and then the tragedy hits across the street at Temple Israel. But to answer your question, the West Bloomfield community has been in the past doing a great job as far as bringing people together to have a dialogue and conversation about overcoming misconceptions and stereotypes about each other as far as religious and ethnic and racial group. However, this is an ongoing task. We can never let our guard down, especially nowadays when our country is the most divisive stage in modern history, we need to be more proactive. We have been talking about why the stakeholders in West Bloomfield Township need to invest in an organization that will bring all people from various ethnic, religious, and racial backgrounds together whenever there is a tragedy like the one yesterday. And beside our great law enforcement agency, who did a great job in responding to the tragedy yesterday, after that, there is a need for a strong organization that will bring people together and process what happened and talk about how can we work together to overcome some of the negative reports that come out of this. And I think that we will be able to do that in the near future.
And we know in times like this, there will be so much hate spewed at the Jewish community, there'll be hate spewed at the Muslim community in the result of this, as speculation runs rampant all over the globe. And Sharkey, you mentioned that as being a reason why we need to come together even more in these times in West Bloomfield, knowing the nature of the West Bloomfield community, the ways it already puts efforts in to come together in times of good and in times of happiness. What makes you confident about our community that this will bring all different corners of Greater West Bloomfield culturally, religiously, and just in general, even closer together?
I feel optimistic about it only because West Bloomfield community had a head start on addressing diversity issues way before our surrounding community. For example, the West Bloomfield School District hired me back in 1994 as the community liaison, someone who would reach out to various parents from various ethnic background and religious background and help them understand all the great things about diversity. So having said that, and of course, I think that we have a head start, but I think that we need to continue that work. And I think we need to shift to a proactive mode instead of just celebrating diversity. And we will get there because we had a head start and we're doing a great job compared to other communities. And we have a police department that is doing an awesome job as far as being in the middle of various ethnic and religious groups in West Bloomfield. We in the Chaldean community, and I'm sure it's the same with other religious groups such as the Muslim community, the Jewish community, we often get phone calls from the former chief of police of West Bloomfield, Mike Patton, as well as the new chief of police of West Bloomfield, Dale Young, just checking with us. Hey, is everything okay in the Chaldean community? Are there any concerns or needs? That speaks volume. Many communities in Southeast Michigan don't have police departments who are so involved with various ethnic leadership, and we do. So that's a head start. That gives us hope that we will continue to do more things in West Bloomfield Township as far as being proactive with diversity.
Sharkey, you are a leader in the Chaldean American Chamber of Commerce. Of course, we mentioned multiple times that the impact that the immediate support from the community at Shenandoah Country Club and the Chaldean Community Foundation had to those at Temple Israel. As we move forward, as communities move forward, and we see more stories of those messages and those acts of kindness from your community, what lesson do you hope others that may have not been previously familiar with the Chaldean community, both in West Bloomfield and around the world, take from the actions and from the kind words of support from Chaldeans? What can they learn as they move forward and help people in the future?
Here's what we can learn from this. While we have no control over what happens in politics, nationally and internationally, we do have control over what happens in our community. For example, Shenandoah and Temple Israel have developed partnership and programs such as JACOB, which stands for Jewish and Chaldean Opportunity Builders, 30 years ago. So the lesson to be learned is we need to do what we can do on an individual basis or on a community level in our West Bloomfield community to reach out to each other, to better understand each other's cultures and concerns and needs. Don't be shy about knocking on your neighbor's door and say, hey, I want to learn more about the Chaldean community. I want to learn more about the Jewish community, the Muslim community, the Hindus, and have that conversation. And hopefully that conversation would have a ripple effect. So the family members of both sides of the individuals who had that conversation will talk to their family members and friends and correct the misconceptions that fly in that community and learn from it. So that's what I'm hoping that many people would learn from this tragedy, is to reach out to others and learn from one another.
A little bit of love can go a very long way. Sharky, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
A lot of life lessons coming out of the last week here in West Bloomfield. Some very tough, but others like that show that when you come together as a community in times of trouble and times when there's so much hate, you lead with love. Great things happen. The Chaldean community over at Shenandoah, no better example of that than anywhere else you'll find. We'll take a break on the Splash Live. On the other side, how you can engage in some fun and fitness for a good cause and learn a little bit about the beloved wildlife that's so special here in Greater West Bloomfield. We'll have that coming up next, live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
What people are watching in Orchard Lake, Civic Center TV, and 89.3 Lakes FM.
I'm Gina Gregory, president of the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. I'm excited that Civic Center TV has reached 1 million views on YouTube. Congratulations. That's just terrific. We appreciate everything Civic Center does for the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society and the community. For us, they promote and highlight our events. It's awesome to have them available 24/7 on YouTube. I'm Gina Gregory and proud to be one in a million.
Find local municipal meetings at our program schedule on civiccentertv.com. Find when your meetings air live or when they're replaying on our Civic Center TV live stream. Find it all at civiccentertv.com and click schedule at the top of the screen.
And now, back to the Splash Live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live on Civic Center TV. I'm Tyler Keith. Thank you for joining us online on civiccentertv.com, all across our social media, as well as on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99, close to home across Greater West Bloomfield. This weekend, fly high with powerful jumps and grow stronger than the presence of an eagle with the West Bloomfield Fit Body Boot Camp as they bring you a 40-minute themed workout that will also help raise awareness and support for our beloved Greater West Bloomfield wildlife. Joining me with more on this fun day of fitness is Jenna Kopp, the Executive Director of the Great Lakes Raptor Center. Jenna, thanks for coming on the show today.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on. You're very much an advocate for our local wildlife, Greater West Bloomfield. One of the reasons people move to West Bloomfield and to the Tri-Cities is because of the community's appreciation for its wildlife. How does this event that you're mixing along with the West Bloomfield Fit Body Boot Camp help to bring all of that together and raise some awareness for our local plant and animal life?
Well, that's a great question. So, especially nowadays, a lot of people are looking to get more active, Even just getting outside, I feel like especially since COVID, a lot of people have been looking for more ways to get active, get outside, and while also helping their bodies become healthier. And so this was kind of the perfect opportunity of blending those two, of getting a workout in while also learning about the wildlife and how you can also be active in that wildlife.
It'll happen on March 22nd, 1 p.m. on Haggerty Road in West Bloomfield at West Bloomfield Fit Body Boot Camp's location. It's in partnership with your organization, the Great Lakes Raptor Center. Tell us a little bit more about the core mission of what your team does at the Raptor Center.
Absolutely. So our main mission is to foster connections between raptors and wildlife and people in order to better protect the environment and the animals that we have within it. Our vision is to reignite the passion and connection, with raptors and wildlife through various educational programs that highlight our ambassadors' natural behaviors and, helping to expand our horizons to care for all sorts of wildlife. It's really important to us to help get the word out about how to protect these animals, because 80% of wildlife that comes into rehabilitation facilities is generally caused by human causes. So car collisions, rodenticides, so rat poison, mouse poison, window collisions, the list is endless. And a lot of people just don't know about these different things that can harm wildlife. So a really big part of our core mission is to help get out into the public and educate people about these things and really get people engaged and more connected with wildlife again.
And there's so many connections to our wildlife and to nature in our community here in Greater West Bloomfield. There is that appreciation, even at the government level in West Bloomfield Township. They have an entire environmental commission that's solely purposed on making sure that projects like development and new housing and improvements do get done for people that want to bring a business into the community or want to improve their living situation in the community, but do so without putting as minimal harm on the environment as possible. Your organization focuses a lot also on rehabilitation and conservation. How can something like this, where you're bringing people together for a 40-minute workout, actually help you doing those things? They're very different from one another.
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things that lots of centers like mine can sometimes struggle with is actually reaching the people that we need to reach, right? Because it's really easy to reach people that are already into wildlife, but those people are generally already aware of the things that they need to do to help protect these animals. The people that we really want to reach are the people who aren't aware, who maybe don't go out into wildlife that much, or maybe don't, go outside that much. And so we kind of have to get creative for how we reach those different audiences. And so one of the ways that we do that is reaching out to these different, businesses that don't specialize in wildlife. So, for example, Fit Body Boot Camp, right, specializes in fitness. We're now reaching a whole nother audience that we can get the attention of, really educate them about that wildlife. And, they're showing, a lot of the audience might just be showing up to get a great workout in, but then they also are going to get their horizons expanded to, and did you know that, an owl can squeeze maybe upwards of 500 PSI? It's like, wow, I had no idea. Like, they're strong like I am. And so we really are trying to incorporate the fitness theme into raptors as well. So, for example, we're going to have each exercise station, be a different theme, a different bird. So we'll have a bald eagle station and a great horned owl station. And each exercise is actually related to an adaptation. So we've got like chest openers for, wingspan and things like that. So we're really trying to educate with every single exercise that they're doing.
So how did this come together with we'll say your organization that reached out to the boot camp or vice versa? Because making those connections is one thing, but then turning this into something that's both fun, that it has a purpose in fitness, but also is educational, that's got to be a big collective effort.
Yeah, so I'm actually a certified personal trainer myself, and I'm actually a coach at Fit Body Boot Camp right now. And it kind of came about as I was joining the team. And I had mentioned hey, I also run this nonprofit for wildlife. What would you guys think about doing a fundraiser for the nonprofit? And then in exchange, they're getting client retention for new people that might show up, and they're providing new events for their current clients. And so it's really just it's just a win-win. And so it's just happened to be that our two worlds clashed together.
And it makes for a great event, too, because you know people in West Bloomfield will go out to this. They are very much into being out and about in the community and being social and being active and also being involved in supporting our local environment. It is something, I've said it a few times already, that's very important to people in West Bloomfield Township. So how do you turn education into advocacy, especially when you're involved in something like this, where people are going to get a good workout in over 40 minutes? They may be thinking more of, I really wish I were an Eagle right now so I could fly away from here than thinking about how they can help the Eagles.
Yeah, so one of the main, tactics that we use in creating that advocacy is we use compassion. Lots of people are empathetic. A lot of people want to help. And so we really take the reality of what's going on in our everyday lives that's happening to these birds, and we are very truthful about it. So we talk about how, more than half of the bald eagle population in the United States has a form of lead poisoning. And, a piece of lead this small is enough to kill a full-grown bald eagle. And when we paint that reality for people, they're like, oh man, I had no idea. So first we get people excited about the animal, right? We say, did you know that bald eagles have eyes that can correct for light refraction? So they know exactly where that fish is in the water. Like, wow, that's so cool. And then we say, and did you also know that this is what is hurting bald eagles right now? And then people go, oh, that's terrible. And then you bring it back up again and you say, but this is how we can help them. We can use different types of ammunition for hunters that prevent lead from getting into the environment. So using copper bullets instead of lead bullets. We can prevent ourselves from using lead sinkers in fishing. And people feel like they can do something about it. So that is why our educational ambassadors are so important, because they really bring that live caring element. When people come and see a live bird in person, that opens up their eyes. They're like, wow, this is such an amazing ambassador. How can I help protect this animal? And so we are due to get our first live ambassadors this upcoming spring, which is why this fundraiser is so important, because it takes a lot of money and care to help care for these birds. And so that's what we're trying to do is get these birds so that we can really help get that compassion piece from people and turn that into advocacy.
We're joined by Jenna Kopp from the Great Lakes Raptor Center on the Splash Live today. They will have a special event coming up this weekend. It'll be on March 22nd at 1 p.m. at West Bloomfield's Fit Body Boot Camp location. That is off of Haggerty Road in West Bloomfield. 40-minute themed workout, refreshments, a silent auction, and plenty of information to help you learn a little bit more about how you can help animals and plant life in our environment each and every day. Jenna, as someone uniquely involved in both the boot camp and this organization, you'd have the best information on this. If people hear this now, they want to join in on this, they want to learn, how can they get involved this weekend?
Absolutely. So if you are on social media and you go to our Instagram or Facebook at greatlakesraptors.org, you can sign up via the link that we have posted. Or you can shoot me an email at jennak@greatlakesraptors.org, or come on by to Fit Body Boot Camp, pop on in. We have a sign-up sheet with a QR code there as well. But the best way to sign up for this event is to go to our Facebook page and our Instagram page and use the link that we've posted there.
Well, we appreciate you joining us for this. Looking forward to a lot of people coming out this weekend for a good workout and an even better cause, and learn some information that will help our wildlife here close to home. Jenna, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you on. More information as well on the Great Lakes Raptor Center can be found on their website, greatlakesraptor.org. Pretty soon, Greater West Bloomfield will join many others not close to home, but rather quite far away in some cases, escaping the cold air and the stress of both home and work life on a day-to-day basis for that ever-needed getaway for spring break. You got your tickets. You may already have your bags packed weeks in advance, but one local shop has some last-minute tips that may make the difference between euphoria or hysteria come spring break. We go to Jake Schaff in West Bloomfield Township with more.
With spring break and summer vacation quickly approaching all throughout Greater West Bloomfield, everyone is wanting to make sure that their vacations go off without a hitch. There has been a noticeable surge in passport renewals throughout the last several weeks as everyone prepares for vacation time. I spoke with Greg Gabarra of Go and Postal here in West Bloomfield to hear what the process is like for passport renewals and what people need to remember before they plan a big vacation.
Well, as of right now, we do about a dozen passport renewals here a day. We have noticed a surge in the last month or two just because of spring break plans and summer vacation plans. If your passport expires within 6 months, you're not allowed to travel out of the country. Most countries won't let you in. They're sitting at an airport with suntan lotion in their hand thinking they're going to be on a beach or a pool in the next couple hours, but get sent back home. So it's very important that you check your passports, make sure that just because they're valid, it doesn't, as long as it's within 6 months of it expiring, you won't be able to travel.
Walk me through what the passport renewal process is like, maybe for someone who's never done it before.
Okay, so the renewal is pretty much, it's this DS-82 form. You just come in, it's just the basic information. You fill it out, we process it for you, we take your photo here at Go and Postal in West Bloomfield, and we can have a passport to you within as soon as 2 weeks. Normal passport renewals take about 4 to 6, so just depending on when you need it.
Okay, so you guys really act fast to make sure that people have what they need, that it's up to date, and that nobody's vacation ends up getting thrown into jeopardy.
Correct. Yeah, we make sure that if we can't do it here, we'll get you to downtown that will do it the same day for emergency passports. We make sure at Go and Postal here that everything is filled out right. What a lot of people are doing now is going online. It's a new thing online, trying to do it online. When you punch in the word passport, renewal, or new, you're getting dozens of websites that are popping up before the .gov website. So people are going online, putting all the personal information, their address, their name, their social security number, and it's to a third-party company, and they charge you a lot of money to do what we basically do, is hand you a form. So and then uploading your photo online is quite a task also. We've had a lot of people that started it online and just ended up coming in here. When you come in here, you're here about 15 or 20 minutes. We'll have you in and out, get your passport real quick within a few weeks if needed. There's not much more to know. People think it's complicated because it's only every 10 years, but we make it very easy, and you don't need an appointment when you come in here. You just walk in, we do them on Saturdays, we take the photos, and we do the whole process for you, and we walk you right through it. So it's very simple. It's not as difficult as people may think.
It's a very simple process. You just got to make sure you get it done in time so you can enjoy everything you want to over spring break and summer break and not get left behind. For Civic Center TV, I'm Jake Schaff.
See, that's why I'm just staying domestically, taking a vacation in a couple weeks. Right around spring break time, I'm more concerned about getting through airport security than getting in and out of the United States. But that's good advice regardless, and Go and Postal, all the shops providing a lot of those services as you lead up to that time of the year. In a couple weeks, early April, late March, spring break, going to be in all 7 of our school districts here in Greater West Bloomfield, and for others just looking to get away. Helpful advice. Appreciate the report, Jake. The West Bloomfield Township Public Library's local author fair will put great reads in your hands from authors close to home here in our community. And variety is both the spice of life and the library, with stories aimed at both adults, kids, and families alike at this weekend's event. Suzanne Jacobs-Lipshaw's work features playful stories with a touch of life lessons for you and yours. You'll see hers this weekend at the library, but first, you'll see her joining us today on the Splash Live. Suzanne, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Happy to have you on, as you're going to be one of many people joining in on the local author fair this year. You are a children's author primarily. What inspired that, and how did your journey to now being a regular writer of children's material come about?
It really goes back to my early childhood. When I was 9, I was that student that wrote a 10-page paper when you were assigned to write a 2-page paper. I eventually was editor of my school newspaper. I knew I always wanted to do something with writing, but teaching ended up being my calling for a profession, and writing got put to the side. And then New Year's Eve, going on to 2017, I decided that My dream of becoming a children's author was never going to happen if I didn't make a concerted effort. So I made a New Year's resolution to do just that. And it's the first and only New Year's resolution I've ever kept.
And you know what? You only need that one to go through to provide that inspiration that leads to something that's a regular activity. And now you have written more than just that one story. You've turned this into something that you do on a regular basis. And now here in our community in West Bloomfield, going to be presenting these stories to many families. This is a bedroom community. It's a family community. And these stories all come with valuable life lessons. But that's really the difficult part, I'd imagine, for children's authors. It's telling a really good story that'll get the whole family engaged, but including those life lessons. How do you balance that?
Well, basically, you don't want to be didactic. You want to have that, the life lesson, the underlying theme, sure, but the joy of the story and the words and the things that you're portraying through your plot, or for me in nonfiction, not necessarily so much a plot, but the information being told in a really fun, engaging way, is how you make it entertaining and you still get your message across.
Suzanne Jacobs-Lipshaw is with us on the Splash Live. The West Bloomfield Local Author Fair, third annual version of this event, will be happening this weekend, March 22nd at the West Bloomfield Township Public Library. It's at the main branch. Visit wblib.org for even more information. What does your process look like of writing these stories? Because it's very different of an experience writing for children in particular than it is writing for adults or even older children.
I first start with obviously come up with the idea. I have a long list of ideas that I'm thinking about, and some resonate more with me than others, and those are the ones that I work towards first and foremost. When I write my nonfiction books, and what came as a surprise to me when I wrote my first children's fiction novel was the amount of research that I also had to do for that. And I actually love doing the research, delving into a topic of interest to me, speaking out to people through interviews, going for my novel. It takes place in Marquette, so I got to spend 2 separate week vacation/research work trips in Marquette. Just really a great way to experience and be part of the information in your novel. Once I've done that, for the picture books, I just start writing. And for the novel, I had a very detailed outline that I followed before I started writing. When you write, it's just like I taught my students when we were teaching. You write that first draft quick, and it doesn't have to be good. I call it my crappy first draft. But you want to just get your words out and your ideas out, and then you go back and focus. And really, the hardest work comes in the revision process, which is constant and way more than anyone could ever imagine you're spending time on. The number of revisions is huge.
Yeah, and that first draft, that's really good advice. That's probably the best advice I've heard from an author talking about this going into the local author fair for so many, because this is something that people look forward to get to meet these local authors, but it's also some inspiration too for authors in our community that may want to participate in this next year, start working on their piece, to just go out there and write and then get into that editing process and perfecting it later on, because if you're trying to make it perfect right away, it's going to take forever to get the story done. If you get it done right away and you have the building blocks, you're able to move forward with that. Suzanne, so much of what you do is not only connecting with the kids, but connecting with the families as well. How do you put that element into your storytelling, but also when you appear at something like the local author fair, to make those connections with the parents that ultimately are providing that bridge between you, your story, and the kids that these lessons are reaching?
I think the hardest part for an author in general, especially so much these days, is the marketing aspect. You know, we get into it for writing, and now we are in charge of a lot of the marketing. I do school visits, which I love, because then parents get to know me through just the book order forms that come home back, and so they can do a little bit of research on my book and find me that way. I love engaging with students at the fairs and as well as the school visit. And the conversations that you can have one-on-one with parents as well as their children at an author fair like the one in West Bloomfield are amazing, because even if they don't purchase the book, which is fine, I have inspired so many people to go on and try to write that book that they've been wanting to write, and that just warms my heart. That's part of, I feel like I'm still teaching to this day, and now I'm teaching adults, what they can do to become authors.
And that's what's part of the magic of the 3rd annual local author fair, is inspiring not only the kids through your stories, but also having all these authors together, inspiring other creatives in our community, and the library providing that outlet for them to present their stories that maybe they've self-published or they're trying to get published and get connections to be able to do that. But like you said, the marketing aspect, so important and so crucial to independent authors like yourself. How does something like this connection with the local library in West Bloomfield, help bridge some of those gaps and actually get your stories out to readers?
It's huge. I mean, it gives us the exposure that's very, very difficult to get. And I've actually done the West Bloomfield Library Fair once before, and I've developed relationships. I met the mayor of Keego Harbor at the fair, and we've stayed in touch. And it really is an honor to be able to participate in events like that. And we truly appreciate West Bloomfield and other local libraries that are willing to do this for us authors. They don't charge us too, which is a huge benefit. We were to go to any craft fair, there's a fee. So it's wonderful. And then, of course, we want to support our libraries at the same time. So anything that we can do to help them is something that is really important to authors.
Lastly, Suzanne, before we let you go today, what do you hope when you speak to all these different readers in the community, maybe even some of the kids that will look through your book and ultimately take that home? What do you hope that parents, kids, and families take away from your creative storytelling?
I'd say the main message that flows through almost every single, if not all, of my 5 books is that no matter how old you are, you can make a difference. And it can be a huge difference, like in one book where my son changed the law banning ice cream trucks in West Bloomfield way back when, or something little by just helping another friend or a sibling. You are making a difference.
More information on the library's local author fair can be found on their website at wblib.org, or stop by on the afternoon of Sunday, March 22nd, to meet authors like Suzanne Jacobs-Lipshaw. Suzanne, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you on, and looking forward to you and many other authors calling our main library home this Sunday, as many avid readers in Greater West Bloomfield and beyond get that next great read, maybe even one of those for spring break that they can read on the plane or out on the beach from right here in our community, where we have so many creative people. More info on the local author fair and more programs at the West Bloomfield Library are also available if you follow them on Facebook and Instagram at West Bloom LIB. In the wake of last Thursday's attack at Temple, Israel, first responders close to home have been receiving their very due gratitude for their bravery and their service to our community. That includes those closest to the situation in the West Bloomfield Police Department, whose training and quick action helped all 106 children, as well as several staff and teachers, escape the attack and the burning building safely. I spoke to West Bloomfield Deputy Police Chief Stephen Richter for the latest insight from the West Bloomfield Police Department, as well as an update on their heroic local officers. Deputy Chief, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on. I know it's a busy time and a difficult time for your officers, first and foremost. So much that our community went through on that day and in the hours and days afterward. That includes our first responders. How are your officers holding up in the days past?
They're doing good. We had a lot of officers respond to the scene. We had over 31 officers that were inside and had some various levels of exposure. 17 of our officers were treated at the hospital. And then plus just everybody else that was helping out on the periphery. It was pretty surreal And we've been talking through it, and the response and the outpouring has been good.
And we talk so often, especially when we think about our fire department, that our fire department doesn't respond to a whole lot of fires in the community. We have that also sort of be the case for the police department. Some of the more intense scenes that we see in many other communities across Michigan and across the country are not necessarily commonplace for our police department. That being said, very well prepared, and they sprung into action and did a great work on Thursday. But seeing that in a community that is so close-knit, where our police officers value community policing, getting to know their community, can be very difficult and be traumatizing even for our officers. There's been so much said about the support services available to the community after this attack last Thursday. What supports may be in place for our police officers and other first responders if they're in need of somebody to talk to at this time?
Sure, those are good things. So our department has a peer support team that has been in contact through West Bloomfield Township. We also have support there as well. On Saturday, our peer support team held a meeting at the West Bloomfield High School, and we opened that up to any first responder, not just our own, that was present at the scene on Thursday. That was a good turnout, and that helped. Going forward, it's going to be more of just the constant contact, talking with our people, making sure that they know they can reach out, and if it's not to us, one of the other places that they can get help. But that's the key, is just talking through it. And briefly, just to touch on what you said, for us, this did hit home. Temple Israel is one of those places where there's a lot of officers that work off duty, that know the people there personally, just because of the things that have happened in the community, just our close relationship that we work with all of our house of worship. So for some of them, it did drive it home, because these weren't just random faces. I mean, these were our friends, and we knew many of them by name.
How do you believe that this unfortunate situation, something that any community would never hope happens to them, and certainly is not something you take any joy out of whatsoever, how do you hope that this will bring our community closer to our first responders?
Well, I think you've already seen some of that. I mean, we've always been lucky in West Bloomfield, and we've always had the support of the community. But just the day of, Shenandoah Country Club right across the street, they opened up the doors for the evacuees, and they helped to feed the children, and they kept everybody safe while we were working on reunification. And then the very next night, Temple Israel was able to host their services from Shenandoah. But West Bloomfield has always been a great community for support and coming together. And we demonstrated that again here over the weekend with this horrific attack. Nobody said, everybody asked, what can I do? And to the point of where, unfortunately, we love it, but sometimes we do have to tell people, well, thank you, and we'll get back to you. But right now, I mean, there's just so much that we can only take so much help. But that's just one of the benefits of working in a place like West Bloomfield, where everyone gets along, regardless of your race or your religion and stuff like that.
Deputy Police Chief Stephen Richter is with us from the West Bloomfield Police Department. More updates on public safety from them can be found on their Facebook page at West Bloomfield PD. Deputy Chief, so much has been said in the days past, especially on Thursday, about how much training played in to the ultimately safe outcome with all 106 children, all 140 plus people in the building at Temple Israel on that day, making their way out safely at the end of that crisis. How much of a factor did that training play into your officers' ability to snap into action, and plus with that familiarity of the area, be able to get there, know where to go, and get people out safe?
Well, no doubt about it. It's the training that allowed us to act, right? That's why we train. So when these things happen, we don't have to think about what to do. We just do. And that goes for like everybody, starting with Temple Israel's own security staff, comes to us and all the other departments that came to help us. Like I'm sure you've heard, or there's been reporting elsewhere, there was over 600 officers from 42 agencies that came to assist us. And unfortunately, in our line of work, we hope that we never have to use it, but we constantly train, because when we do need to use it, it'd be too late if we didn't practice. So, I mean, we constantly train here in West Bloomfield and in other departments across Michigan. Unfortunately, it's part of the norm that we have to, because it's not nowadays. It doesn't seem if it's a question of will something like this happen. It's just a question of when, and unfortunately, we are in our when right now.
And you never want anybody to live in fear, but that is certainly the reality of our days. You just never know, and it's better to know what to do if that situation ever comes up. Certainly played a major role in getting everybody out of Temple Israel safely last week, Thursday. On that point, not wanting people to live necessarily in fear, but live with preparation and know what to do. What sort of opportunities are available to the community, either with consultation from the police department to other partners or directly with the police department, if businesses, if neighborhoods, and so on want to undergo some training to put themselves in the safest position possible in the future?
Well, sure. Some of that stuff we do work with our partners. There are times that we offer ALICE training. That would be something that you could just reach out and ask. We don't have a set schedule, but we have been doing that for a while. And again, going back to it's just preparing in yourselves. Like I said, that could be seen from Temple Israel. So again, I mentioned before their security staff, but it was more than that, right? It's their teachers. It was the people in the offices, right? They train. They train on this on a regular basis for these reasons. And that's what most people, unfortunately need to think about is nobody wants to do it, but it's just one of those things that it is a necessity, because when something does happen and everybody knows how to act, what role they play, and then you can hope for good outcomes. And this was the best outcome that you could have. All of the teachers and the staff were able to gather up the children, and with the assistance of the law enforcement officers, we were able to get them off campus into a safe place, and that came from training.
And lastly, Sheriff Bouchard mentioned this in some of the press conferences, that getting that insight from the people in the community when something suspicious is visible to them, or when something out of the ordinary happens, like somebody running a vehicle into a building, that's something that you want to alert local authorities to as soon as possible. Time is always of the essence. But there's always that if you see something, say something element that we hear so often. What should people be looking for? Not necessarily being on high alert all the time, but what are some of those oddities that may be worth pointing out to our local police departments that could potentially save lives?
Well, so the reason we keep harping on this see something, say something is nobody knows their place where they live, their community, their business better than the people that are there. They're there on a daily basis. So basically an oddity or anything like that is just something that's not normal, right? I mean, usually if something's not right, whether, hey, I've never seen that person before, I've never seen that vehicle before, this is an odd time for whatever it is to be happening. That's why we rely so heavily on the community, because as police officers, we're stretched thin. I mean, we're coming out and we try to pay attention, but we don't know what vehicle is supposed to be where. That is what you do. And we really don't care. If you see something and you have a question, give us a call. I mean, the worst case scenario is we go out and we check it and the person's supposed to be there, or the vehicle is supposed to be there. And then it puts you at ease and it puts us at ease. But if you don't call us, we won't know about those things.
And it's all good advice, and it all played a big role in keeping our community safe during its darkest hour last week, Thursday. Deputy Chief Richter, I want to thank you for your time. I know it's very busy in West Bloomfield at this time for our first responders, for our police department as this investigation goes on. I want to extend our community's thank you once again to you and all of your officers. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Still plenty of thank yous being extended to our police, our fire, our EMS, and others that responded from both in West Bloomfield and around the community, making that a safe outcome on Thursday of last week. You can give our local police your own thank yous and messages. Follow the police department on their Facebook page for even more public safety information as well. That's facebook.com/West Bloomfield PD. That's our show. I want to remind you that television that's close to home is always available online on CivicCenterTV.com and all over our social media pages. pages. Big thank you to our entire crew making the show happen both here in the studio and out in the field. And here's to you as well for joining us for today's latest information across our community. For our entire team, I'm Tyler Keefe, live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV.